Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome to Shelf Stories, the channel that tells tales from games, books, and life. I am your host, Jason. Thank you so much for stopping by for this latest episode of Good Trouble, the series where I engage in above-the-table conversations that I feel are necessary in the board gaming space in a spirit of education and compassion. So this topic did not come from me. It came from a poster in our One Stop Co-op Shop Discord. If you don't know, I also have Shelf Stories. There may be some folks that only know me from this particular channel. Most of my gaming is actually posted on the One Stop Co-op Shop, and a lot of my interaction with the community, with the excellent Discord, very free, friendly community. And as we were going to talk about, we try to make it as safe as possible to have all the conversations. So Shelf Stories has its own sub-channel in the One Stop Co-op Shop Discord, and we talk about it all. Culture and gender and the economics and everything that comes up. Lots and lots of great discussion, completely and totally safe as we can make it, for people to express their opinions and feel like they're a part of the community. There's a lot of trust. We emphasize trust in that community. Okay, so this topic, before I get into it, has a big content warning. Content warning. It is going to, feature some images that you may find uncomfortable or distasteful. So if that's not something that you want in your gaming life, then please feel free to move on to another piece of our content, either on Shelf Stories or on the One Stop Co-op Shop. And also language, as usual, with Good Trouble. If I have to say something, that I will say it. So again, content warning. All right, so today we're talking about Trudvang Legends. This one is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players from CMON. So you know the gaming pedigree is pretty solid. It is a storytelling narrative adventure with an overlay of Scottish and Norse mythology, minis fest. We get a lot of these on Kickstarter. Funded a year or two ago with almost $1.5 million, so it was a popular project. It is currently in its development cycle, so the backers are getting the occasional update with, everything that is currently being produced now. And the rules, our latest version of the rules, dropped very recently, and the poster was taking a look at the rules and saw this image from page 19. Last content warning, if you don't want to see anything like this in your gaming life, then please turn off the video now and move on to another piece of content. But I'm going to show this image now. It is a naked female Pixie. Right there. Right there in living color in the flesh. So there is a lot in Trudvang Legends that says that this is not a family-friendly product. To be fair, it is 14 plus. It is a grimdark fantasy. There are, the themes of violence, and there's a lot in here that kind of gives a flag for people that this isn't something that you're going to break out during Sunday dinner. However, there wasn't a lot of preparation that there would be nudity in the game. Just because you're 14 plus doesn't necessarily mean that, it's all fair game. It would be appreciated if there was a heads up on some of the stuff. You look at the Kickstarter page, there's no nudes on the Kickstarter page, or in the released pictures that I found, searching around for the project on Facebook. Full disclosure, I have not backed it. I wish I could back everything. It's one of those games that's right in my wheelhouse, but I only have so much. So I'm getting this kind of a backfilling. So if anybody, if there was preparation for nude imagery in the game, then go ahead and let me know in the comments, and I'll retract the whole video or go on from there. Anyway, it seems like this was kind of out of the blue, which is not, to me, it doesn't feel like a great practice. Anyway, so the original poster posted on BGG and also on the One Stop Co-op Shop Discord, and it's the response on BGG that is the reason I fired up this video today. Oh boy. The original post was, you can go read it, by the way. It's the original post, the link to it, and also the rule book, I will include in the show notes to this show. I don't think it was flamey. I don't think it was accusatory. I don't think it was anything besides just, expressing disappointment. That was the exact word used, disappointment, and opening up a lane for conversation. The responses were, Okay, so I noticed, I think, four things that I wanted to run through really fast in terms of response to the original post and the original piece of art. Number one, I think there was this tendency to interpret the original poster as wanting to cancel, wanting to force change, wanting to, this artist is, made a terrible decision, so we need to force them to change the art and, put a bra on, for God's sakes, Pixie, or something, cover yourself. And I think there was this assumption that that's what the OP wanted, right? The specter, the boogeyman of cancel culture and wokeness and all this other nonsense, pervades whenever a woman or a POC or an LGBTQ has anything to say. It's like, well, what do you want to cancel? And so there was that defensiveness, and there was also the defensiveness of, well, it's a really good problem. It's a really easy problem to solve. Cancel your pledge. This is not the game for you. Right there, just going right there without investigating, without being curious, without exploring, without engaging, the original sense of the post, which was open and exploratory. And, we immediately go to this, like, well, don't take my stuff away. Don't tell me what to do space, or, go away if you have a problem. I think we really need to look at that. Criticism is not cancellation. People, we need to be able to criticize things. And this goes for everybody. This goes for, whether you're progressive or whether you're conservative or moderate or wherever you are on the spectrum. Folks need to be able to verbalize criticisms without the endpoint being assumed as some catastrophe thing. Cancel it, whatever it is. Criticism is not cancellation. That's point number one. Point number two, just stuff that happens on the internet all the time. We just feel like we're getting less and less able to speak without personal insults or just, directly dismissive comments. A prudish adult, some kind of phrase like that was used. Or, BS, get a life, go get out more. And this is to a woman who had, it is not easy for a woman to post this stuff, especially in, BG's gotten a lot better, but it's still, kind of a brave thing to do, to speak up like this, because that's the kind of thing they're going to get. And sure enough, no, that person did not, or whoever else used that kind of phrase, did not disappoint and showed themselves to be just unwilling to engage, unwilling to talk, relying on personal insults. We need to work on that, people. We really, really do. So point number three is actually something that I think bears discussion, which is that, especially as American gamers, I think that's something that we need to grapple with, is that we seem to have such a high tolerance for violence, depictions of violence, blood, gore, smashing, all that kind of thing, and we go crazy whenever we see a nipple or any sexual thing. Why is it that we have such a high tolerance for violence and such a low tolerance for sexual imagery? Great question. Love to talk about it on a future episode. My issue with that is the OP was talking specifically about this rulebook, Trudvang Legends. And if you look at the rulebook, you look at the imagery, there's no violence. It's just a bunch of people or monsters or whatever it is being shown. There's no actions in there. They're just, they're standing there. So it is a good conversation to have, but it's distracting. It's a way to distract from the issue that the original poster was talking about, which is this image made them uncomfortable. Let's talk about it. Let's not bring in this other thing that is not a part of the discussion, just so we can, out of respect to the original poster. All right, so this is my last point. I want to spend a little bit of time with this. To kind of go along with the issue that this was a surprise and this was kind of a break in trust, there's also an equity issue here. Across the fiction of Trudvang Legends that I've been able to find, and I was not a backer, so I haven't been getting the regular updates, but, just kind of tooling around, looking at the Kickstarter page and talking to people who did back the game, it doesn't look like there's any other naked presentations besides a woman. It is a problem that mature fiction, that word mature fiction, seems to be aimed only at a certain audience, male, white, with money, and these are the depictions, and servicing that audience, this is the depictions that we're getting. If this were truly an equitable situation where, mature audiences, 14 plus, then everything or a lot of things, a lot more things should be naked, right? How about this guy? I don't know what exactly this is because they're wearing a helmet, but I'm going to assume some kind of ogre or monstrous being, big, burly, and, savage, wielding the double weapons and everything. How did they find a belt and a loincloth? How does any monstrous creature happen to find, especially a male, happen to find a belt and a loincloth? They all do across all of our fiction. What would happen if they didn't find it? And we got a bunch of male junk in our fiction. Ooh, no, we can't have that, can we? I mean, obviously on an individual level, you ask somebody one-on-one, like, oh yeah, sure, if there's females, there should be males. If there's men, there should be women. They'll say it. But would this project have backed at $1.5 million had there been equitable nakedness in the presentation? I think that would make a lot of male gamers uncomfortable. I will be completely and utterly honest with you. Because, my evidence for that is just the complete absence of a penis in anything that resembling mainstream fantasy. So let me hammer this equity point down by talking about expectations and trust. So, like I said, the expectation about Trudvang Legends is that this is not a family-friendly game. This is a mature game for mature audiences, 14 plus and all that. Heavy themes and, grim, dark fantasy, all that kind of thing. But it didn't sell itself on the nudity aspect, right? And so here I go where I have now a female nude, who's the only female nude I've encountered if I'm sticking to the game content. So the OP in a later comment on BGG made a really, really great observation, which is a single image won't make a game for somebody, but it can certainly break a game for somebody. This kind of image in the context of what's going on, again, is the image itself a big deal? It's up to people's sensitivity to consider whether an individual image is a big deal, but in the context of what's going on, the individual image, has such a surprise, nothing else in the art is like it. It says, this isn't, just mature fantasy. This is mature fantasy likely for boys because of the equity issue, right? It's not all of them. It's women. So what else can I expect from this product that is not delivered that I'm going to get? Am I going to get, more art and more story pieces that are slick and, showing a little bit of side boob or showing, two women characters, nuzzle together in that familiar sexualized way? Is there something later in the fiction where perhaps sexual manipulation or sexual assault will be perpetrated on the character? Am I catastrophizing that one? Well, we are in a environment where the RPG space, this is a table RPG, by the way, but the RPG space has struggled with DMs or storytellers who think that's edgy and cool, putting in some kind of sexually uncomfortable situation. Is that all lying in wait? I don't know. Likely not, maybe, but the trust has been broken by the way that element was introduced. This is not about offense. This is not about, I don't like this particular piece. It's how the piece functions in the context of the expectation. And from a perspective of a woman seeing it, from the perspective of the OP, I can see that being a significant problem. All right, so before I end the video, let's talk about a couple of pieces of inevitable feedback that I'm going to get. So inevitable because, the original poster got this on the BG forum. Elizabeth Hargrave got this pushback when she criticized Tiny Epic Dungeons for a similar issue. It just kind of happens over and over again. I want to hit it head on. Two things. Number one, this isn't about prudishness. I'm fine with adults making consensual decisions to create spaces where they can enjoy adult oriented content. Whatever, I'm not going to kink shame anybody. Whatever it is that you want to enjoy, there should be products for you. Why not? You're not hurting anybody. You're doing all the good things. And so, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, there shouldn't be any nudity in any game. That is not what I'm talking about. It's about equity, and it's about the differential cultural standard. And it's about pointing out that we're so tolerant of certain things and so intolerant of other things, and that it lands on real people in this way, especially women, right? So that's number one. That's really important thing to point out, that this is not about prudishness. Number two is so important to emphasize, and I'll close on this. That is a woman that is speaking up. We are trying to create a space that is welcoming for women. And, we have every once in a while we'll get the post of, this woman is leaving the industry because of bad behavior. This woman is leaving the industry because of, feeling uncomfortable. Or, we don't even get those posts of women who don't even come in the hobby. Or maybe they posted once, they had a question, they got the pushback that they got, and they said, they followed the advice. Well, you don't like it, don't back. Well, bye-bye. That's the inevitable thing. And then we end up with what we got, which is a predominantly male hobby. If a woman is going to speak up about something, we can't pick and choose what we want to listen to. It's all of it, right? And yes, of course, like human beings, nobody's going to be all right. No, we're not going to, there's not an advocate for we have to listen to everything. But as I articulated before, there's this defensiveness that comes up whenever a woman is trying to articulate something that might make the center of the hobby uncomfortable. We need to address that. We absolutely, if we want to kind of address this quilt of sexism in our hobby, so much of it is addressing it one thread at a time. And this is the particular thread that we're talking about today, which is one picture in Trudvang Legends. Is this going to make this huge difference if, this game has it or doesn't have it? No, but that's, I don't accept that necessarily because, again, a quilt is made of many, many individual threads. And finally, there's not cancellation. I'm not trying to cancel anything. And I know a lot of the comments are going to be like, well, we should cancel the project. Cancel is force. And yes, I would love to see an ultimate change in direction. I don't think that would weaken the original thing at all. But I don't want to get there through force. This is a discussion. Everything on Shelf Stories is an act of persuasion. Maybe you're not persuaded, but maybe enough folks are. On the empathy front, having empathy for a woman who opens up the thing and doesn't like the surprise that's waiting inside for them. Imagine putting yourself in the shoes of that woman who wants the game and wants to enjoy what we enjoy. And, they just don't feel comfortable. And then when they speak about it, most of what they hear about is, don't take it too seriously. You're too sensitive, blah, blah, blah. Have empathy for that situation. And once that empathy happens, I think try to come up with solutions together, speaking, that work for all of us, right? Well, does it really affect things if there's either no nudity in a game or equitable nudity in a game? So this is Jason reminding you, if you can change your mind, you can change the world, people. So until next time, later, everybody.